Houses in Arizona and Chicago.
One house.
All those homes. The story of Michael Ray Wilbon. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Cowboys crushed the Vikings. The Jets' offense is, quote, dog bleep, and the Chiefs are rolling. But we begin today with the United States and Wales playing to a 1-1 draw in their World Cup opener. The United States dominated possession in the first half, taking the lead when Christian Pulisic fed Tim Weah for the goal.
Great setup.
But Wales evened things up in the second half when Gareth Bale got taken down in the box and then converted the subsequent penalty kick. Wilbon, should the United States feel encouraged or discouraged by this result?
Tony, I think if you're coaching the squad, the side, you want your team to feel encouraged. I mean, there's a big disparity between 84% of the teams that win their opening match move on out of the group stage. If you win. If you tie, 59%. So, I mean, that's a drop. But it's not as bad as only 16% advancing if you lose.
If you lose.
So having a draw is not the worst thing in the world by far. I get that. But Tony, it felt like the United States team had so much better of the action in the first half. And everybody doing the analysis in the studio and in the booth said they got to remain this aggressive in the second half and not let Wales climb back in this. And that's not what happened. So Gareth Bale scores on the penalty, which is a legit penalty call. And then, Tony, late in that game, when the United States goaltender, Matt Turner, wanders out and is about 20 yards out of position, Gareth Bale's going to win that game. But his LAFC teammate, Acosta, comes out and tackles him and draws the penalty. A great and smart and necessary foul called there, because we're going to lose the game to Wales because Gareth Bale ain't going to miss that shot, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so I felt a little disappointed. We were ahead 81 minutes of that match, 81 minutes, and we don't win. A little disappointed.
Listen to you. You even use the word match. I love this. You are Mr. Soccer.
No, I'm not.
I can't offer any insight here. I don't understand anything about soccer.
You
say this: if you're up 1-0, no, I don't. If you're up 1-0, and I used to joke all the time it was an insurmountable 1-0 lead, but it isn't insurmountable. But if you're up 1-0 and that's all you're up, there's no real margin for error, because if they got to get a goal, they tie you. I mean, when we got our goal and they panned to the crowd, it was interesting to me because there was somebody dressed up as Wonder Woman. I sort of like that. And it seemed like the entire nation of Wales was there. And then there were all these ads for crypto.com, which indicates they don't get newspapers over there because that's not the greatest investment in the world anymore. I'm happy that we tied the game. Okay? It gives us a chance to move on.
81 minutes ahead.
I understand, but again, you're pointing out that we were not particularly aggressive in the second half. Mike, my complaint about soccer is always the same. I'm standing there watching going, shoot, and they don't shoot. They pass to make something perfect. To me, if you shoot, you got a chance.
By the way, Pulisic
was
perfect on that pass, and they beat him to death. I mean, they targeted him, they kicked him, they elbowed him, they were physical with him, and he withstood it except for about the last 10 minutes and extra time where he was just out of it. Now, I'm angry at people saying Pulisic was faking. They beat the hell out the kid, and he took it, and he was great for a while. But now we got England.
Yeah,
England on Black Friday. Tony, aren't you fired up for this? Come on now.
No, I'm not.
Come on.
90% of the people who go down, they go, oi, my leg. And nothing ever really happened on the replay. Nothing
90-year-old American. Stop it. Now,
I am.
To the NFL, starting with the NFC East. You care about this, where the Cowboys, old man, crushed the Vikings. The Eagles came back to edge the Colts. Commanders won for the 5th time in 6 games. And the G-men lost to the Lions. Tony, which of these do you see as the most compelling result?
This I can actually talk about with some degree of
60
knowledge.
years of talking about it.
I will tell you the most eye-popping score, the most eye-popping result was Dallas goes into Minnesota and pounds Minnesota. That margin of victory was the greatest margin of victory in the entire NFL, 37 points all year long. Minnesota, you want to talk about spitting the bit. Minnesota, a team that was allegedly a Super Bowl team, 8-1 at home, and they get rolled, absolutely rolled in that game. Dallas was coming off a bad performance in Green Bay. And all week long, Mike, and I know this doesn't matter to you, but it matters to 200 million other people. All week long, I wondered, why would Dallas be a road favorite by 1.5 over Minnesota? And it turns out it should have been 7 to 10 points because Minnesota was absent. But if you ask me what is the most compelling result, I think down the road it might be Philadelphia.
Yes.
That Philadelphia battled back all game long against the Colts and won it on a fabulous quarterback draw by Jalen Hurts, who is my MVP so far. You know, we're not fully through the season yet. I mean, I'm not saying the Colts are good, but Jeff Saturday has them playing way above their talent level for you Jeff Saturday haters out there. And they went, Jalen Hurts went, I think, 75 yards in 11 plays, culminating with that touchdown. And that, to me, may down the road, because if they lost 2 in a row, they might have been shell-shocked.
Well, if you lose 2 in a row after being undefeated in that city, in that market, with the lunatics, and then plus the national noise, and that really could have rocked the Eagles. It really could have. But they showed some fortitude, or the most overused word now when everybody talks about sports, resilience, except they say resiliency. They showed that. They actually had some. The Eagles did, Tony. So I thought watching that game in live time, I switched off something else, and I said, let's watch the Eagles. Let's see what they got. And yes, Jeff Saturday does have them playing better. But, Tony, the Washington football franchise that manhandled physically the Eagles the previous week, I know it's just Houston, and so they're not the most compelling result. They did what they were supposed to do. But they got a couple of important games coming up, including the Giants twice. I think Washington is almost even with Philly and the Giants, maybe slightly ahead of the Giants right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Really? Because they've won one playoff game in the entire 2000s. They've been lousy
20
for
years
30
ago.
years.
I don't care about that. Tonight.
Thank you for mentioning the Giants. The Giants, I believe, are at Dallas on Thanksgiving Day. That's their season.
Yeah.
Right there.
It is.
They got to win that one.
Agreed.
We move. The most dramatic ending of the day was the 84-yard punt return by New England rookie Marcus Jones that beat the Jets 10-3 in an otherwise impossible-to-watch game. The Jets had 2 yards of offense in the second half. 2. The Jones punt return, crossing the goal with 5 seconds left, was the first time there was a lead-changing punt return within the last 30 seconds since Deshaun Jackson did it for the Eagles in 2010. Wilbon, do you want to start with that return or how bad the Jets were?
Just briefly. The league gets all persnickety about little stupid stuff, like whether a guy pulls his helmet off after he crosses the goal line. He crossed the goal line with 7 seconds left. Why are there 2 more seconds run off, and why aren't they put back on? I mean, the NFL sometimes just wants you to believe. They don't care. The arrogance of that is stunning to me. The punt return is all that mattered in that game, in the game. Now, after the game, the way the Jets quarterback, the team of your youth, behaved himself, Tony, he's getting trashed. He's been called all kinds of names on TV all day, long before we got to this quality program. He is getting murdered. And I'm a little worried because they play the Bears next week. I'd like to let sleeping dogs, emphasis on dog, the quarterback, lie.
Dogs.
And get him again.
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen. Now the Jets going to be all riled up. But the punt return is stunning. How do you allow that? How do you allow that at that moment of the game with less than 20 seconds left? Wow.
Thank you for mentioning the teams of my youth, the Giants and the Jets, who you know I had no faith in, and my lack of faith was restored this weekend. The Giants lost at home to the Lions. The Jets did a little better because the Jets were on the road and they lost close at least. But this is let me get the exact number. Whoa, this is the 14th straight time that the Jets have lost to the Patriots. Robert Saleh's only got 4 of them. Todd Bowles has some. Adam Gase has some. I mean, that's terrible. And you're right about Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was the number 2 overall pick in the draft.
What a slug.
Yesterday he was 9 of 22 for 77 yards. That's all.
It's okay. He gave
the
a
number
bad
3
game.
pick in the draft. Badly. The number 3 pick in the draft before him was Sam Darnold. And the Jets basically let him go between breakfast and lunch one day. Who's doing the picking for that team is something fair to say. Again, I'm going to go to gambling because everybody's got gambling partners, including this network. If you blow the whistle on the foul from behind, which we both thought it was, the NFL said no.
Blow the whistle.
You give them a short field goal. You give them a short field goal and it changes everything.
Yes.
Because New England's a 3.5-point favorite and they don't
care
cover.
About that. I don't give a damn.
Well, I know, but Mike, others do.
I care about the result of the game, which could have been changed. The game could have been changed if you penalize him and you're forced to kick a field goal.
Yeah, but it's a close-in field goal. Would have been from about the 12, I think. Coming up, Tennessee got clobbered. But was that the biggest takeaway from the college football weekend?
And do the Chiefs deserve more of our attention? No, Chiefs get enough attention. The penalty, the yardage would have pushed it back. It would have been about a 40-yard field goal. The penalty should have been called.
I thought it'd be much closer.
The league is such a fraud when it comes to...
Pardon the Interruption is presented by Bullet Frontier Whiskey. Please drink responsibly. Part of Happy...
Time to find out what's cooking with the commoners. Let me get the first one here and get my glasses on because whoever writes can't write.
Stoves in here.
What was your biggest takeaway from the college football weekend?
You know this because we have communicated over the weekend. I texted you at about 2 a.m. I knew you were about 8 hours into your night's sleep, and I just said to you, Caleb Williams. That's my takeaway because he's the best quarterback in college football. I feel bad for the kid from Tennessee who's now out for the season after suffering an injury. There's some other kids, a lot of quarterbacks around the league. They'll play in the league. They'll back up somewhere. Some may elevate themselves through late growth, late blooming to starter status. Caleb Williams. He should win your Heisman Trophy. It shouldn't even be close right now. Tony, USC's in the top 5 because of Caleb Williams, the best college player in America. They're going to play Notre Dame this week. And if he beats them, even though their game's in L.A., if he beats them, I don't want to hear anymore.
Okay, my biggest takeaway was the most dramatic thing I saw in all of sports on the weekend, and that was TCU.
Okay.
The last few minutes of TCU. TCU scores a late touchdown, misses a 2-point conversion, so now they're down 2 at Baylor. They're the number 4 team in the country. They got to win or they're going to be out of the playoffs. They get the ball back. They got to go about 40 or 50 yards to get in field goal range. They have no timeouts. The clock is ticking. They actually get to where they're in field goal range, and on a 3rd and 7, I believe, they run the ball. What? You can't run the ball. That's insane. You give your field goal unit no time to get out there because there's no timeouts. They have 17 seconds left. They get them out there. They kick the field goal.
Good coaching.
And they stay at number 4.
Discipline.
And I will say this, Mike. I don't know who the special teams coach is at TCU.
Hell of a
they
job.
ought to rip up his contract, double it today. That was a great job.
I'm just saying, USC number 5, Tone. USC number 5. When is the last time, like Reggie Bush and Pete Carroll and Matt Leinart? It's been a long time.
Well, I thought Clemson was 5, but you may be right. After beating the Chargers last night, the Chiefs, Buffalo, they basically dropped off the radar. People stopped talking about them completely. They are 8-2, which is the best record in the AFC. Maybe they will get attention back at this point. That division was supposed to be great, and it isn't great. They're the best in it. But like Denver is a disaster at this point. And so what happened when they go out and they win a game, and you're right, they have withstood the loss of Tyreek Hill a lot better than the Packers have withstood the loss of Devontae Adams. A lot better. And Mahomes is a great player. What's interesting is they don't cover a lot. You can't get rich betting on them. They don't.
What is this? The
6
Draft
of their 8
Kings
wins,
hour?
Mike.
What are you getting paid under the table?
6? Well, I'm looking to get paid.
Clearly.
6 of their 8 wins are by 10 points or fewer. But here's what they've got going into the playoffs. They got Mahomes and Kelsey. What do you got? You don't got that. They're that good. Enough email. Yeah, let's take one last break. Still to come. Will the Niners take another step forward tonight?
And do we really believe Justin Fields' injury is only day-to-day? No. Some of us don't believe that. Tony, by the way, open for business, DraftKings. Wow.
Tucker is likely the only NFL kicker who is also an opera singer. Wilbon, I've got Tucker as a first ballot Hall of Famer. How about you?
Tony,
I think he's the best kicker ever.
Yes, but Tony, it hasn't worked that way. By the way, he can do opera in 8 languages. Let's see who else can do that. Tony, Stenerud and Morton Anderson, the only pure exclusive kickers in the Hall of Fame. Groza and Blanda played at other positions. Vinatieri may get there. But, Tom, first ballot is tough. I mean, Ray Guy didn't go on the first ballot, and we both thought he would. I was in that room for 10 years. First ballot's going to be tough, but Tucker deserves it. I agree with you.
Happy anniversary, Northern Iowa. On this day 7 years ago, the Panthers upset number 1 North Carolina at home in Cedar Falls, Iowa. This gave Northern Iowa the unique distinction of being 2-0 versus number one teams, because in the 2010 NCAA tournament, they beat overall number one Kansas. The Tar Heels journeyed to Iowa because Roy Williams liked to reward his seniors with a game in their hometown. This was a nod to Marcus Page, who missed the game entirely because he had a broken hand. Later that season, Page hit a game-tying three to send the NCAA title game against Villanova into overtime. But Nova's Chris Jenkins hit a buzzer-beating three to win the championship on one of the most famous shots in college basketball history.
Tony, I don't know who the first coach was to do that, try to reward seniors with a home game in the region that they played in. I'm pretty certain that Dean Smith, of course, did that, and Roy inherited it from him. Mike Krzyzewski does it, among others. A lot of them seem to do it right now. And what a reward, except who stays for 4 years anymore? You'll be getting rewarding the team manager and holding a game in his hometown pretty soon.
That's the point. Nobody is a senior anymore. Happy trails to Kyrie Irving's suspension after a series of self-justifying apologies about not being anti-Semitic and statements that seemed to indicate he was the victim. Kyrie Irving returned to the court for the Brooklyn Nets last night following a suspension that lasted 8 games. Irving scored 14 points in 26 minutes as the Nets beat Memphis without Ja Morant and 4 other rotation players. The Nets play in Philadelphia tomorrow night, where Ben Simmons returns to his old home court. Simmons had 22 points last night. That's his highest total of the season. The Nets can put Irving, Simmons, and Kevin Durant on the floor, but how long that will last is anybody's guess.
Yeah, you keep Simmons shooting that running hook shot like it's 1955. It'll work. It seems to work for him. Tony, Kyrie Irving, I listened to the apology, and everybody wants to say who's defending him in the brotherhood, in the fraternity. Let him go. He apologized. He's a dangerous egomaniac. And even his apology was just filled with, I'm doing this because I realize how big my voice is and how big my stage is. And a guy as smart as Kyrie Irving should get it. Not just this one point on which he's been moved to apologize, but the bigger point that the world is bigger than you. And I don't think he gets any of it, which is why I don't think the Nets are going to be able to cash in on this whole thing, even with him out there playing. Great player, egomaniac.
One clarification, Wilbon was right. AP has USC ranked number 5, Clemson's number 7. I was thinking about last week's playoff rankings, though they had Clemson number 9, not number 5. So who really knows what I was thinking? I got too much involved in point spreads. I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
let's go to the big finish. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Justin Fields hurt his left shoulder on the Bears' final drive. That's cause for concern, right?
Yes. And the Bears, after saying that, Eberflus says that they admit they don't know anything yet. They won't know until Wednesday, and they're trying to delay and set this up for a long outage, which is too bad because we watch now because of Justin Fields. Trust me. Klay Thompson had 41 in a Dubs win, and Anthony Davis had 30-plus for the 3rd straight game. Which was more significant?
I think it's Anthony Davis. They can't win if he doesn't score.
3 straight they've
well.
won the
If he's
Lakers,
out.
yeah.
They can't win a game. Number 1, South Carolina edge. Number 2, Stanford in overtime in women's college hoops. Your thoughts?
South Carolina's really good once again, Dawn Staley's team, and they play UCLA. Watch out, Tony. UCLA and South Carolina next Tuesday. The Devils are on a 12-game heater. Host the Oilers tonight. You smelling 13 in a row?
Yes, I am. Hope it happens. Last one, Niners at Cardinals in Mexico City tonight. Who you got?
Kyler Murray probably not going to play. I got the Niners. It's time for the Niners to start rolling.
I would have the Niners anyway. We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. And I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. And now to get you set for Monday Night Football, here are Susie Colbert and the Countdown crew. Kiki Rice on that UCLA.